Welcome to SolidCAM Professor on our series of Getting Started. I'm Sydney, your SolidCAM Professor, and in this session we'll be showing you the use of 3D machining on a prismatic part. If we take a look at the part that we have on our screen, you'll see that this is a typical prismatic part where all the floors and the walls are straight. Either the floors are all 0 degrees or all the walls are 90 degrees up from the part itself. You'll also see that there are many different depths within the part itself. These steps over here, for example, these little pocketed areas inside over there. And what we're going to do is use 3D machining to mill out every single one of these areas. In our first operation, we've used a rough cut. And if we take a look inside the operation itself, we'll be using a 14mm M-mill. And in the technology area, we'll be using contour, stepping down every 3 millimeters and cleaning the flat floors on our way down when we finish going down towards the bottom level. We'll also be having a wall and floor offset of 0.2 millimeters. If we take a look at our simulation and we use the Solid Verify simulation, you'll see that it clears out the part and does as much as it can do for this size tool, taking out a large bulk of the material. Now in our next operation, we're going to continue using a rough cut, but this time I only wanted to work in the areas where the previous tool could not operate because that tool was a little bit too big. So if I go into my operation, you'll be seeing that we're using a different tool, a smaller end mill this time. And in our geometry area, in our working area, we've chosen the option of cut only rest material. That way it'll only work in those particular areas. If we take a look at our simulation, you'll see that is now only working in those particular areas, in these areas over here where it could not go to at all, and cleaning off those corners as well. We've done the same thing with our third operation, also using a rough cut and using this time even a smaller end mill, such as a 5mm end mill, using the same technology as we did before. And again, in our geometry, we still have our working area using cut only the rest material. Again, looking at our simulation, you'll see now that it'll only work now in those particular areas over there. And if we turn it apart and look inside over here, it'll finish whatever area this tool can work on, including this pocket inside over there, which the other tool cannot do, and only work in those areas. In our next two operations, we'll be doing our finish cuts, and when we work on prismatic parts, we will always use the finish options of constant Z, both for the walls and for the floors. If I take a look at my first operation over here for my finish cut, we'll be using a 4mm M-mill, and in my technology for constant Z, we'll be stepping down every millimeter. We will not be using scallop. We'll be having a lead in and lead out of 2 millimeters. And we'll also be using the option of clean contours of flat areas. However, we will not use the option of constant Z flat floor machining. We'll use that in a separate operation. If we take a look now at the simulation of the part itself, you'll see this time that it's actually working exactly on every single one of those walls around the part, stepping down every 1 millimeter. And when it gets to these flat areas, it'll also clean those corners as well, finishing up every single wall that's on the part until it gets to the very bottom of those walls. Now in our next operation, we'll be again using constant Z with the same tool, but this time if we take a look in our technology area, we'll be using constant Z using the constant Z flat floor machining option, not using the constant Z wall machining because we've done that already. If we take a look now at our simulation of the part. This time you'll see it'll work only on the flat floor areas, including the very top of the part itself, finishing off every single one of those areas. Thank you for joining us on SolidCAM Professor on our series of Getting Started. Take care and have a nice day.